LeBron James 4. Kobe Bryant 1.
He got 2, I got 1, Kobe got 1, something wrong with that picture.
Steve Nash was hit statistically at the numbers, but Kobe was still
Kobe, you only won 1 MVP award.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because the media votes on it. But that being said, does it bother me? It bothers me. Of course it bothers me.
But the other guy you mentioned, the idea that Kobe Bryant even gets to be in this discussion is laughable.
Kobe Bryant's career resume is nearly flawless. However, there's one blemish that causes many people to believe that he shouldn't be allowed in the GOAT conversation, and it's the fact that he's only won 1 MVP award, that he was only the best player in the world for maybe 1 year. But winning the MVP doesn't necessarily mean that you're the best player in the league that season. There's a certain criteria that you have to meet in order to be eligible for the most prestigious individual award in basketball. There's also a narrative that Major League voters take into consideration. There are many players who benefited greatly from that criteria, but no one was a bigger victim than Kobe Bryant. But first, what is exactly this criteria or narrative for the MVP? The answer is in the name itself. What kind of value do you bring to the team? One of the biggest factors that league voters look at is the team record. You have to win a certain number of games in order to be seriously considered for this award. Did you know that 88% of the MVP winners since 1960 came from teams that won over 50 games? If you're not one of the top teams in the league, you have to be doing something historic if you want a chance at winning the MVP. This is something that league voters have been less strict about in the past few years. But during Kobe's era, it was almost an unwritten rule that you had to win at least 50 games. From 1990 to 2016, all 27 MVP winners came from teams that won over 50 games. With that mentality, the league voters were never going to take seriously what Kobe was accomplishing during his best individual years. In 2006 and 2007, he was surrounded by very little talent. It was going to be extremely tough for him to get the team success needed to sway the voters. That's especially the case when he was playing in the much tougher conference. The San Antonio Spurs, Dallas Mavericks, and Phoenix Suns each won over 60 games during those 2 years. Imagine having to play those teams with that roster 12 times a year. For Kobe to drag the Lakers to the playoffs was extremely impressive. Without him, they would easily be one of the worst teams in the league. You can make the case that no one was bringing more value to their teams than Kobe was. However, the league voters were disregarding the context surrounding each team. The talent and depth of the Lakers simply couldn't compare to what the Phoenix Suns and Dallas Mavericks had. To make matters worse, the 2007 Lakers experienced a lot of injuries to their already depleted roster. Their second best player, Lamar Odom, missed 26 games. Kwame Brown missed half of the season. Luke Walton missed 22 games. 3 other starters missed a large chunk of games, which made the Lakers an even bigger one-man show. But that didn't stop Kobe from breaking one record after another. For those 2 seasons, he had 1 80-point game, 3 60-point games, 12 50-point games, and 29 40-point games. He was beating teams by himself during a time when defense was more prevalent. There's no question that he was the best individual player in the league. He could have been the exception to the rule as other players had, but he lost the MVP to players whose numbers weren't even close to Kobe's. All that mattered in the end was the wins. But even when you meet these criteria, there are other factors that they look at. For instance, what kind of talent you're surrounded with. If you're playing alongside an all-time great player, then you're almost disqualified from winning this award. When your team wins a lot of games, the media will say, well, what did you expect? He was playing with such and such. That's what the media was doing to both Shaq and Kobe after winning their first title. I wouldn't argue against anyone who says that Shaq was the best player for the Lakers in 2001 and 2002. I believe that is factual. But in 2003, there was a change. Shaq was not present for the first part of the season because he wanted to recover from an injury on company time. Let's not forget that many of their most important role players were old and tired from the last 3 title runs. But Kobe put the team on his back. This was a year where he averaged over 40 points per game for a calendar month and was the first to do so since Wilt Chamberlain. He even scored 40 points in 9 straight games. He averaged more points than Shaq that season. But the context of that year didn't matter. There was a certain mentality that the media had towards him. This is what he said to the court with A-Rod and Big Cat.
But I got to a point in my career where it was the rumblings, and some of it created by him, that, you know, Kobe can't win without me. And it was like, hold up. No, it's not true.
Right.
It's not true.
Right.
And I'm not going to retire and have people hold that over my head.
Shaq and the media claimed that Kobe couldn't win without him. As great as his numbers were, as impressive as all the never-before-seen moves that he was doing, he could only go so far without the big fella. How could he be the most valuable player in the league if he wasn't even the most valuable player on his team? This narrative was going to prevent him from ever being considered the MVP. And people wonder why he wanted to play without Shaq. It's because he wanted to prove that this stigma was completely false. In the following years, he proved emphatically that he was the best player in the world, and it was a title that he held for the rest of that decade. The unfortunate thing is that there isn't anything that the league offers that awards that. Without the MVPs, there isn't anything that we can point to that proves that no one was better individually than Kobe. But we do have the testimonials from players and coaches who was there to witness what he was doing. Take what Mike D'Antoni said during the 2006 season when everyone was debating if the MVP should go to his star player, Steve Nash, or Kobe. Quote, "I'm not saying that he's the most valuable player, but he's certainly the best player, and is not even close. He is utterly dominant." End of quote. If the coach of the MVP is saying that, then what more can be said? No one was questioning his individual greatness. It was obvious that he was on another level. In that same Sports Illustrated article, Clippers coach Mike Dunleavy was even saying that Kobe was better than Michael Jordan ever was from a talent standpoint. But everyone knew what the criteria was, and his team situation wasn't going to allow him to win the MVP. Then LeBron James broke into the scene, and the supposed debate was about who was the best player in the world. It was an entertaining debate, but there was no question who ran the league. Take Grant Hill, who made this interesting observation to Sports Illustrated back in 2010. Quote, "LeBron has a pull-up jumper and he takes it to the rim. He has 2 pitches, and trust me, both of them are great. But Kobe is like the guy with all the pitches. He brings the fastball, his changeup, and he gives you something on the corner. LeBron will overpower you, but you might know what's coming. With Kobe, you're never comfortable." End of quote. Players and coaches alike knew the answer to this question. The debate was more for media talking heads. It's no secret that the media always had a love-hate relationship with Kobe. But there were some honest sports writers who viewed things the same way the players and coaches did. That includes the writer Jack McCallum. Check out what he wrote in 2010 while Kobe was going for his 5th title. Quote, "Let me propose another simple but often overlooked reason that Kobe remains superior to LeBron. Kobe's a better basketball player, not a better athlete, which sometimes gets lost. A better basketball player. He dribbles better, passes better, he has more ways to score, and understands the game better. That is not to say that LeBron is inferior in any of those areas. He is great, but he's not as good as Bryant." End of quote. While LeBron was failing to reach the finals, Kobe was winning back-to-back titles. His skill, numbers, and team success were all that we needed to reach the logical conclusion that Kobe Bryant was easily the best player in the world. At the very least, this was a title that he owned from 2006 to 2010. That's a 5-year stretch, which is more than any other player in that decade. He owned the 2000s, not Shaq, not Duncan, and not LeBron. If you want to add more seasons to that list, then I don't blame you one bit. Which other seasons are you adding? Why do you think Kobe only won 1 MVP in his career? Or do you think all he deserved was 1? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.